All right, let's do this. The text file that almost ruined Valve's trading economy several times.
In the beginning, Valve released the Orange Box, a pack of 5 games which is, to this day, probably the best deal in gaming ever. We've already talked about Portal, so in this video, we are going to focus.
Portal arguably was the greatest game I've ever played. Just the idea of it all was amazing. Oh my goodness, I can't click this button. Dude, just let me click the button. Oh my goodness. Dude, just let me click the button. Just let me let go of the say. Oh my goodness.
In the beginning, Valve
beginning,
released the Orange Box, a pack of 5 games which is, to
yes, I got it. Thank you, YouTube. The enshittification of the universe is a real thing.
this day, probably the best deal in gaming ever. We've already talked about Portal, so in this video we are going to focus on another game, Team Fortress 2. Back in 2007,
I never played enough Team Fortress to find it that addicting. Why did people love TF2 sucks? I know. It feels like, dude, people either loved TF2 or hated it. TF2 is my favorite game. Exactly.
it was a completely different beast. There were only 6 maps, 4 game modes, and no custom loadout. You didn't get to pick your weapons, you only had your base ones. And most importantly, there were no hats, which feels super weird because that's what TF2 is mostly known for today. But everything started to change in 2008. While the economy was burning, the game got some maps and some new weapons unlockable with achievements, but still no.
Wait, housing crisis? Housing crisis saved TF2? That was, in fact, not the thing I was ready to hear, but here we are. That's fine. George Bush did TF2. George Bush, inside job, TF2.
No hats,
Crazy.
because those would arrive in 2009. Valve introduces an item drop system where the more you play the game, the more likely you are to randomly obtain items. However, some players figure out how to emulate playing the game 24/7 by using an external tool, and Valve decides to crack down on this by removing every single item obtained by doing this, and giving every player who didn't do this an appropriately named special hat.
What would you expect? Why would anyone even be upset about this? You created something in which incentivized people to play as much as possible. Like, what do you think's gonna happen? Is this shocking at all? I can't remember.
They're so serious about hats made of pixels. Because the next year they want to introduce the Mann economy. Now you could actually spend real money for items, or trade the items you obtained by playing the game with other players. Valve has just created their very first game economy, which by the next year is going to be worth more than $50 million. But this was kind of an afterthought. The game was not designed for an entire economy of hats attached to it, and the approach Valve used to make that happen is going to introduce several exploits that, in the wrong hands, could potentially destroy the very game economy they were trying to create. This
$50 million for fake hats. You know how many Asmongold videos are centered around the one and singular topic that goes like this? Man, why is this game such shit? How come they keep making gacha games? I swear. You know why they make gacha games? Because you guys keep spending money on them. It's like the same thing over and over again, okay? You think that someone didn't discover, like, the hat economy didn't just make everybody realize, oh shit, we can spend a lot of money. Dude, it's literally a quarter of Asmongold's videos. It's just him lamenting the fact that people won't stop spending money on stupid shit.
Is the story of itemsgame.txt.
And first off, everyone that blames capitalism ain't the problem. It's your stupid ass that keeps paying for dumb things, okay? That's the problem, all right? That's the problem. You just keep doing it. It's not, you gotta stop doing it. Stop eating a dick salad, as Asmongold says. You just keep eating it. You just serve it up, a fresh plate of dick salad every single morning, and you keep eating it, okay? Stop it.
But first, you see this white wall right here? It's kinda sad, but we can fix that thanks to today's sponsor, Displate. Displate makes metal posters which are better in every way compared to the classic paper ones. And you can mount them using this magnetic kit, which is super easy to set up, and also makes it insanely fast to swap them for different ones whenever you want. You can find over 2 million artworks in their catalog, going from video games to movies to TV series to anything.
I didn't mean to stop it on what appears to be Jeff Bezos kind of looking like a serial killer. Why is this video in 4x3?
Really, and they also just launched this new series of displays named Textura, with tactile textures, 3D contours, and a selective matte or glossy finish depending on what you prefer. And now you can even get Textura in L size, which is great. literally. You can click my link in the description or use the promo code SAVEWALLS from Sadness to get 22% off when ordering one Displate and 30% off when ordering 3 or more. Thanks again to Displate for supporting the channel, and now, back to the video.
That's actually...
Okay, so we're talking...
Just for a quick second, those are actually so cool, I might actually have to buy some. I'm going to look at that later, and I'm going to probably have to buy something. That's...
Talking about the war-themed hat simulator here, so I decided to dress appropriately. Anyway, what is items game.txt? Items game.txt is a txt file which is contained in this folder that Team Fortress 2 uses to define the attributes of every object in the game. And not just Team Fortress 2 apparently, it seems to be something that every multiplayer source game is using. When it comes to Team Fortress 2, it's a list of every single weapon, hat, misc, or generally item that you could own, and...
Please tell me it's client-side programming. Please tell me it's client-side programming, please. And second off, how did you invent shitty JSON? It's like not only are you using something that looks just like JSON, you invented bad JSON. Like JSON was already a thing at this time. You could have just used that. This is just worse JSON. Medigun charge is crit boost. Object attribute class tab. Is it tab separated? Is that what we're seeing here? Are we seeing tab separation? Let's go. Not my son. It's just a text file, bro. Yeah, it's just a text file with squirrely braces that act like key value maps. Cool.
Every single one of its attributes. This file is also known as item schema, and while I think it was okay for the game to store it locally up until, let's say, 2008 with the first achievement weapons, starting from 2009, Valve starts using it to store information about hats, which, I mean, they're still storing your actual inventory on their servers, so it's not like you can give yourself items. But then, starting in 2010, when they introduced the entire economy to the game, they keep...
Let's go. Let's go. JSON is database. This is the most advanced, sophisticated database the world has ever seen. A singular file. I love that they upgraded into this. Oh my gosh. This is just making me... I have never been happier to see JSON as a database. I will say this. That everybody... There's this kind of general notion among web developers that game programmers are, in fact, the most sophisticated, amazing programmers among us all. Just remember, we all take shortcuts. Okay? We all do. We all take shortcuts, and even the programmers that are, in fact, way better than you still take shortcuts and still put JSON as a database. Let's go, JSON as a database. I thought web devs thought game programmers were semi-retired. Shut up.
They're still storing your actual inventory on their servers, so it's not like you can give yourself items. But then, starting in 2010, when they introduced the entire economy to the game, they keep using this...
I still love the fact... Okay, they're now... sorry for interrupting again, but they're officially using JSON, but they're still quoting numbers. Oh... I noticed that last time. I was like, it just must be an artifact of their crazy encoding system. But nah, they get minimum eye level, still string 10. Is that like binary 2 or is that string 10? Nobody knows.
60 for every new item connected to the game economy. The Mann economy update added a lot of stuff like paint cans, name tags, but I think the biggest thing and the thing that is going to actually define Team Fortress 2 for years to come is that whole crates and keys affair. Crates are basically loot boxes, but Valve's way of doing things is a bit different. You randomly obtain crates for free by simply playing the game. And by hovering over one, you can see all of the items you could potentially obtain by opening it. But in order to open a crate, you need a key. And you can't just randomly drop a key. You need to buy one. The only place that can...
By the way, the single most evil game mechanic of all time is giving somebody a crate and then making you buy a key. It is by far... I feel like that is predatory behavior. TF2 pioneered it. It is disgusting. It is... The level of scumminess is insane. I didn't realize that Valve was the inventor of this. I've just seen this enough times to go, this is disgusting, and I don't know who did it, but now that I know who did it, it just makes me even more angry.
supply new keys, creating them from scratch essentially is the Mann Co store. However, keys are actually tradable items, meaning that after a person buys them from the Mann Co store, they are free to either resell them on the community market for cheap or use them as effective currency in a self-regulating economy. And if you're wondering how serious Valve is about this, in 2012 they hired Yanis Varoufakis, I hope that's the correct pronunciation, as their in-house economist. They had an economist working for them just studying game economies, and this wasn't just your typical Joe Schmo, because
by the way, you do know that like every single mobile game comes with an economist that sits there and determines the rate in which you need to level up just so that you can be the most likely to purchase items from their shop or to purchase gold. It is the most disgusting behavior of all time. I actually feel like that type of stuff there should be a class action lawsuit against this, like intentionally designing high. I don't see how it's any different. You might as well just let them honestly, just let them sell cocaine. At least with cocaine, people know what they're getting, right? At least with cocaine, we all know what you're getting. This, you didn't even know you're getting had.
because his future employment would be as Minister of Finance in Greece. What makes keys valuable as a currency is that they are essentially lottery tickets. When you open a crate, you have a 99% chance of getting an item that is common and usually worth less than the key you used to open the crate. But you also have a 1% chance of getting what Valve calls an exceedingly rare item, aka an unusual. This is the safe and sound, a hat for the engineer, and this is an unusual burning flames, safe and sound. The only difference between them is particles, and it doesn't have any effect on gameplay, it's just aesthetic. And also, while you can get a unique, aka a normal pair of safe and sound for around 20 cents, an unusual burning flames one is going to cost you, yeah, that's a lot of money. Crates and keys are basically lottery tickets, and they're designed to keep whales gambling. This is today a pretty common tactic to make free-to-play games still profitable. However, what makes Team Fortress 2 different from Overwatch in this sense, for example, is that taking a page from games like RuneScape, your items are usually tradable, and you don't have to spend money in order to get what you want. You can, in theory, just trade with other players. Okay, I gotta mention that if
to be fair, it honestly sounds like Valve invented Bitcoin. I think they were the first cryptocurrency. They have NFTs. You have to purchase your buy into the NFT, and you have a small chance of getting the rare NFT. That NFT is tradable, but it's bound to your account. There can only be one of them. I can cut and copy your NFT, but I don't own it. It's all Valve's fault. Web3 was Valve's fault. It just makes no sense if you look at it from any perspective.
If you're a free-to-play player and you never spent any money on the game or bought the orange box, you're gonna have limitations on your backpack size and also on what you can trade, but you're not entirely banned from trading. Okay, so now you should be up to speed on how this economy works, or at least the very basics of it. Over the years, the game got updates on top of updates, and you got stuff like the MVM tickets, and now if you're lucky playing an entire MVM tour, you have a chance to get a virtual frying pan, which is worth as much as €1.
Didn't Valve get sued for this exact item? Am I correct on that? Weren't they sued by the creators of PUBG as the frying pan being the iconic image of PUBG, and that they're cashing in on the iconic nature? Am I correct on that? This predates PUBG. Okay, you don't think so? Hold on, just while we're here. Let's see. Frying pan PUBG lawsuit, right? PlayerUnknown's Battleground sues mobile games for copyright infringement and frying pan use. Okay. I know it happened. I just couldn't remember who they sued. Epic got sued because they copied MC Hunger Games better than PUBG. Yeah. I know it did happen. I just couldn't remember who they sued. So some mobile games? Okay. Whatever.
Year of rent in my country. The point that I'm trying to make here is that with Mann economy, Valve actually introduced a serious game economy. to this game, which means that any potential way to exploit this economy would actually let you make a lot of money. And that's the reason why Team Fortress 2 and CSGO trading is treated super seriously, because for some people, it's a job. But why would you ever risk your economic stability on the whims of this man? No, wait, that's the wrong picture.
That's the wrong dick.
This man.
That dick.
Keys, just like any other item in the game, are...
She got the wrong dick. You know, we've all accidentally slipped a dick pic on the internet, and here we are.
Controlled and regulated by the items game TXT that was introduced with this Sniper vs Spy update. And everything follows a pretty straightforward logic. In the items game TXT, crates are assigned the decodable attribute, and keys are assigned the decoder ring attribute. Essentially, the items game TXT is telling the game that this is specifically supposed to work with this. And the same goes for every tool introduced in Mann Co. So what would happen if, hypothetically, you open the items game TXT file and you copy one of these attributes from a tool to a random weapon? Well, as it turns out, a user named GameMaster1379 decided to try this out and, well...
See this wrench? An ordinary name-tagged wrench. Nothing special about this wrench, right?
Yes!
Wrong. Anyone would guess that I used a name tag to rename my wrench with such a silly name. On the contrary, I actually named this wrench using an eyelander I had just gotten as a random drop. Similarly, a Vita saw, which I no longer have, from one of the early crates was unboxed using a Southern Hospitality. That's all it took.
Yep. The game is not performing any client-side checks. The items game TXT was designed, as far as I can tell, as a way to manage the various new achievement weapons the game was introducing from 2008 onwards. But then when in 2009 hats were introduced, the same file was also reused to store information about those. So then in 2010, when an entire game economy was added to the game, Valve was still storing the attributes of every single item locally on this file. Game Master even figures out that the paints are not predefined when it comes to the color by Valve. They are just RGB values in that TXT, and by mod...
Hold on, are they saying that the server is just accepting the client values? Is that what I'm actually being a touch confused that they're just accepting? No, I mean, I understand this was like 14 years ago. But 14 years ago, everybody knew you can't trust it. You can't trust the user. Dude, I was in college writing my first program ever, and my very first thought was, someone's going to lie. Like, that's it. Step one, they're going to lie.
Modifying that TXT, he can potentially just make his own paints, and then just use that one out of one paint
no one can
on
edit
a hat
JSON
and
files, right?
Create an insanely valuable one out of one item. But I think the easiest way for him to make money would be just keep using weapons which are basically worthless as keys to open as many crates as possible. Because even though your chances to get an unusual would still be 1%, you could pretty much keep rolling the dice almost for free forever.
Yeah.
Since everything you would be getting from a crate would still be worth at least one
Dark
weapon
Salmon
or more.
Injustice.
But he decides to do the right thing and reports the glitch to Valve, which fixes it by introducing a check on what kind of item you're trying to use. So for example, since a weapon is not a tool, you shouldn't be able to use it on other weapons or crates. And also, just to make sure nobody wants to try and be a smart fella, Valve starts enforcing a re-download of the TXT file every single time you boot the game. So even if you manage to edit the TXT, it would simply be overwritten.
7 megabytes. They re-downloaded a Mongo database and they got a 504 gateway timeout, right? 504 is gateway timeout. So not all... Damn. This is a crazy way to solve the problem. Like, this can't be... Like, at that point, you had to go, wait a second, I think we effed up a little bit. Like, maybe we could check a database to see if you own this item and if the item is, in fact, something that can unlock it. Like, this feels like a pretty simple database check. Like, I understand compute's expensive, but so is sending 7 megabytes in 2010 every single time someone launches your game. Right? In fact, sending a brand new 7 megabytes every single time someone opened your system now that has millions upon millions of people, that would also be expensive today. Like, that would just be expensive generally speaking.
And what did Game Master 1379 get in exchange for their help? Nothing. Which is going to sound incredibly unfair as we move along with the video. But I mean, everything's fixed here, right?
I promise I'll fix my screen tearing, okay? Netcode's hard, okay, buddy? Netcode's really hard.
Forget all your cares, so go downtown. Things will be great when you're downtown. No finer place for sure downtown. Everything's waiting for you.
In the items game TXT, you can, of course, also find every single weapon Team Fortress 2 shipped with back in 2007. These are the weapons that, no matter what, every single player owns, like the scattergun, the medigun, the heavy weapon that fires $200 custom kill cartridges. These are, well, base items, and they are marked by the attribute base item 1 within the TXT.
We're back to the old style. We're back to the old style. I love seeing this. I love seeing beautiful old style, old encoding. There must have been an item within the old encoding that turned it into the new encoding. String as bool is string as bool is insane. Yes. String number as boolean is single-handedly the most insane thing I've seen in a long time. I think we can all agree that many things Valve has done, for those that haven't been watching, Valve created their own encoding format, which looks like this. This was part of Team Fortress 2, and it obviously goes key value. Now, for whatever reason, they chose every single value to be a string. The crazy part is that they don't even have booleans. Instead, they just have literally the number 1. So it is a stringified number that's meant to be interpreted as a boolean. I can't imagine there's any bugs surrounding the area of something that is encoded and decoded like that. Probably nothing bad will ever happen.
But what would happen if you took that attribute and put it where it doesn't belong? Nothing, because as we just explored, after Game Master's discoveries, the game simply re-downloads the TXT file every single time you boot it up. So even if you make any edits, they're just going to be overwritten.
Yeah.
And it's not like there is a way to stop this from happening.
Please tell me that they also download everything over the clear. Please tell me that it's just like an HTTP endpoint that they're sending down. Please, please, please. Oh, make the oh my goodness, make it read only. Oh. They don't even check for an error.
The hosts file is essentially like a small address book for your computer, but its most well-known feature is being able to use it to block your computer from accessing any website you want. So what would happen if you used it to block any downloads from Valve servers? Well, your game wouldn't be able to re-download the TXT, letting you, yet again, tinker with it however you want. After figuring out how to block the game from re-downloading the TXT file, a user named Error figured out that by adding base item 1 where it didn't belong, you could trick the game into thinking you potentially own any item, or at least up until you connect it to a game server, because the server would have its own copy of the TXT file and it would automatically override yours. Just like Pinocchio, these items were not real. But what if you could make them real? As it turns out, if you were not connected to any servers and you applied a name tag to any of these fake items, the items would actually become real. The inventory server would simply take for granted that if a client says the item is a base item, it has to be true. And if they want to rename that item, you better make that work. Trying to figure out the limits of this potentially game economy breaking glitch, Ever tries to generate an item no human is ever supposed to own: the deflector. A weapon only used by bot heavies in the man versus machine game mode, capable of, well, deflecting.
Dude, this is worse than hacking with HTML. This is actually hacking at its truest level. Text file hacking. Scuffed JSON, text file hacking. Scuffed Boolean that is also a number that is actually, in fact, a string, hacking. This is the lowest form. Yeah, I'm a hacker. I have Notepad. Not a big deal. You wouldn't understand. You wouldn't understand. You don't use Vim, okay? Okay, Vim guy, why don't you sit down, okay? Real hacker here. This is called Notepad. No plus like Thor. This is just Notepad. Meat, potatoes, missionary text editing, also known as hacking.
Bullets. And well, it works. But instead of figuring out a way to exploit this to make a lot of money very quickly, Error reports the glitch to Valve, which, after fixing it by making sure that from now on you can only rename stuff you actually own, grants Error the reward of one untradeable custom unusual. Error, ironically, picks a Sunbeam's Cheetah's Lament.
That's pretty awesome.
Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and snowing and snowing.
With the Christmas 2013 update, Valve introduces a new tool named Giftapult, which
By the way, it is like 4 years later, and this text file is still the bane of their existence. You'd think somebody at some point would be like, hey, I could do a quick lamp stack, you know? Throw a little PHP, little MySQL, not a big deal. I could throw it up there, add like 4 endpoints, and call it a day. Like, we could do select star from items for user. What is this? It was on the backlog, but the product owner didn't think it was important. Dog, you're telling me that in 2008 you started making $50 million a year and someone couldn't make a text file as a service? Impossible.
concept is actually pretty cool. By using it, you can wrap any item in your inventory and send it to a random online player as a selfless act of generosity. Everyone who's playing the game during the Christmas 2013 update gets a free gift stuff stocking with several items, including a Giftapult. So people start randomly gifting each other items, and it's a very cute and wholesome experience. And if you need more Giftapults, if you want to gift more items to...
Now, I'm not Nostradamus, but I'm going to have to make a guess here that the Giftapult used a special area in the text file in which, when you simply edited it, it made it into a magically amazing item.
To random players, you can buy more Giftapults on the Mann Co store for a few cents. What a
Giftable
nice
one.
event. I'm sure nothing here
Which
is
is
going
a
to be
string.
exploited in the
Which is a boolean.
next months, right?
Pre-watched.
Giftapults are tools, and we know for a fact that Valve has a problem when it comes to handling new tools in the items game TXT. But just to nail down how weird their handling of this was, I gotta make a very small tangent. Let me go back for a second, just for a second, to 2013, because a few months after the base item exploit, another exploit was discovered that I didn't make its own chapter because it is economy breaking, but in a pretty minor way. In Team Fortress 2, strange weapons are weapons that can count your kills. They come from crates, and depending on the weapon,
fun.
their value can vary wildly. But then, in August of 2013, Valve decided, let's make a tool that can turn not just weapons, but any items into strange items. So they make this tool called the strangifier, and it's only supposed to work with the specific item that it refers to in the name.
Wait, Valve invented stat keeping as a service where you had to pay for it by getting these weird items? Wait, you didn't even know how many kills you had per item unless if you somehow got one of these magical items? Dang, they really monetized the hell out of you. Wow. Statgate 2013. I know this is... At that point, I was just having my first kid, so my brain, I just finished Halo 4. I really wasn't in, I wasn't in anymore. I was done. I was done with video games for a while.
Name. Of course, if a weapon already had a strange version that was available in a crate, they're not going to make a strangifier for it because that would fuck up the market. But guess what? Their entire mechanism is regulated using the items game TXT, so someone figures out a way to make strangifiers work with any item by editing the TXT, makes a report to Valve, gets a free custom unusual, and Valve, again, patches this one specific exploit. This has happened a few times already. You know users are messing with the items game TXT. Maybe it might be a wise idea to lock it down,
I
or
can't
to make
believe they
sure
have
that
any
if the game is
economy
not
at this point.
downloading a new copy when you boot it, the game doesn't work.
Oh, you can take it out of emote
But no,
only mode, by the way.
Valve just doesn't do it. And now, back to April 2013, let me ask you a simple question. What of these tools here can be used on crates? Name and description tags? Nah. Gift wrap and decal tool? Nah. You wouldn't
Here, hold on. Here, I'll do it. Fine. All right, there we go.
Use a crate on a crate, of course. You wouldn't paint a crate. You can't use the backend grease. You can't use a strange part. You can't use the spells. You can't kill a player with a crate, so no strangifier. You know what? The only two items that work on crates are keys and Giftapults. So you can imagine where this is going, right? What happens if you block your host file and give the attribute decoder ring to the Giftapult? You get keys for 3 cents. That's what you get. And you know what the best part is? Even after all of this, they still didn't modify the way the TXT file works. They finally put a signature check in October of 2014, making it finally impossible to edit the TXT at all, because the game doesn't boot if you do that. But
I really hope they used MD5 and somehow someone got around it. Oh my gosh. How could you be so stupid not to finally just add a checksum? Like, it's not even hard. It's so easy to just do that. This has been in TCP since 1976. The spec was probably written in 1975. Like, it's not that hard to go, wait a second. How can I validate the data I sent to make sure that it's actually the data that I'm getting? Did you know in 2009, I had to write my own video protocol for the government's robots? And my own video sending protocol contained a checksum to ensure that the data that I was receiving was the data that I sent. I was in college still. I wasn't even smart. Not that I'm smart now. I was just less smart then. Data validation, I know, this is crazy. Was it MD5? Probably.
holy shit, 4 years! 4 years! And by the way, this Giftapult exploit wasn't even the straw that broke the camel's back, no. Someone else managed to find a very minor exploit, and that's when they fixed all of this. And you know what really grinds my gears? And that's the entire reason, okay, not really the entire reason, I wanted to dunk on Valve, but it's a big reason why I made this video. The fact that every single person here, including the Giftapult guys, got rewards, except for Game Master, the very first person that pioneered all of this, got nothing. Justice for Game Master. So yeah, thanks for watching this.
Not only that, but there were people, you know this for a fact, there was people that robbed the economy blind for years. So maybe Game Master is, in fact, not the one to thank. I bet you there's several angry people right about now for letting the cat out of the bag. Just trust me, bro. File.text. She's ranting. Oh, yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this story.
I did.
I've known about it for a few years because I know someone who used to do bug hunting for TF2 in 2014 because they wanted to get a hat. They never got that hat, but I got this story about this TXT and I really wanted to make a small video about it for a while now. Thanks again to Displate for sponsoring the video, and thanks to my Patreons cool. Because all of you guys supporting me and watching me are the reason why I'm able to make a 17 minutes video about a TXT file. And I really wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh gosh, that was amazing. That just got me going there for a second. I just got super excited. Anime ending, W video. That was a great video. For those that haven't watched it, subscribe. Everybody, find, subscribe, enjoy. So Fammy's, is it Fammy? Am I saying that correctly? I've never seen her before. Amazing, awesome video. Sweet video. Imagine being worse than YouTube. I know. Imagine being worse than. I'm not gonna pee on the electric fence. I am not, in fact, going to pee on the electric fence. The name is the Primogen.